University of Alabama, online.
We are the one who has the will to win, who not only deserve success, but command it.
Many of our students, both online and in person, our undergraduate and graduate students are preparing to start or advance their careers in financial planning and related fields. So, Dr. Crosby, in the Soul of Wealth, you highlight the idea that you are your best investment. How does that idea specifically apply to higher education and the choices that students are making right now?
Yeah, I love that question. So I wrote this chapter as a direct response to the response and the questions that I get most frequently when I tell people that I work in finance. When I tell people, say on a plane, I travel a good bit, and when I'm sat next to someone on a plane and they ask me what I do and I tell them I work in finance, I very commonly get questions about what I'll call externalities. You know, what's the president going to do? What's the market going to do? What's going to happen to Bitcoin? You know, which stocks should I be buying? And all of these things share something in common, which is they are unknowable, unforecastable, and really, candidly, ignore the most basic and most predictive and most controllable elements of determining whether or not you will create some wealth in your life. If we look at the number one predictor of wealth, it's not picking the right stocks, it's not guessing what the president's going to do, it's your years of education. There is simply no better predictor. So these students, the students watching at home, are doing exactly the right thing. They are powering the engine of their wealth, which is your income, and the best predictor of your income is your years of education. So there's really nothing better that you can do than to get all the education that you can. The other thing that's fascinating about education is that it's also paired with a host of holistic upsides. You know, people who get more education are less likely to get divorced, they live longer, they're in better health. So there's a constellation of benefits aside from high earning that come along with getting all the education you can. So well done. In terms of being your best investment, though, there were a couple other pieces of research that I found in the book that I want to highlight here. People who have a mentor make a great deal more money than those who don't. So I advocate getting a mentor, someone who can help you become a better version of yourself, someone who can open doors for you. Another finding in the book was that people who go to therapy make dramatically more than people who don't go to therapy. So it was even more pronounced for men, right? Maybe men are a bigger mess. That's the assumption that I draw from that. But, you know, men who go to therapy make 12% more on average than those who don't. Women make 8% on average more than those who don't go to therapy. So the takeaway for me there is most jobs require you to be interpersonally skilled. That's the kind of, you know, to manage your own internal ups and downs and to be good with other people. And those are the kind of skills we learn in therapy. So investing not only in sort of your brute force cognitive skills, but also your interpersonal skills is a big benefit. And then finally, we see a spillover effect. You and I talked about this yesterday. We see a spillover effect from people who exercise. You know, people who exercise, people who work out, not only do they spend dramatically less on medical expenses each year, there is a hard to explain predictable uptick in earning for people who exercise. And there tends to be what we call sort of a halo effect or a spillover effect. So things like keeping your body and your mind sharp, eating well, sleeping well, going to therapy, going to school, these aren't the things people think of when you think like, hey, I want to get rich, right? Oh, well, go to therapy and go lift weights. But yeah, there it is. There it is in the research.
So another challenge students face, Dr. Crosby, is sometimes delayed gratification. Sometimes it can feel easier or more immediately rewarding to just work full time. instead of continuing school. From your perspective, what are your tips for helping students kind of stay the course with their education, and even when the payoff isn't immediate?
Yeah, I think there's two things that we need. One, sort of the simplest thing, if you know that it's right, if you know that delayed gratification is good, you want to automate that behavior wherever you can, right? So when I get my paycheck every 2 weeks, a portion of that goes straight to savings, right? I don't want to have to delay gratification every 2 weeks. I want to be able to make that choice once and then set it and forget it. And the glorious thing about that is, if we look at human nature, we're kind of lazy, we're kind of status quo prone, and we're kind of forgetful, which is why you sign up for HBO or Netflix or whatever, and you just kind of let it rock eternally, and you forget, and you go, oh my gosh, like, I didn't even remember I had HBO, and I just spent $2,000 over the last, 5 years on HBO or whatever it is, right? These subscription services, they get you. Well, we can use our laziness and our forgetfulness and our status quo proneness to our benefit through the power of automation. It works the same way. If you automate this savings, this good future-oriented behavior, you forget about it, and it doesn't hurt quite so much as trying to say every 2 weeks, like, yep, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to eat my veggies again, here 2 weeks later. The other thing that I think many of us lack, not just students, but I think many of us, is a vivid sense of our future self. There's really cool research that shows that people who take a picture of themselves and then age progress it. So, you take a picture of these 3 young folks right here, and we take a picture, then we show them what they look like with all this gray hair, right? We show with all these wrinkles. They're going to be better about saving money because now they have a more vivid image of, oh yeah, like I will be older one day. There is a future me. So it doesn't have to be all about, gray hair and wrinkles. It can be exciting things like where do you want to live? What do you want to do? Where do you want to vacation? Who do you want to be? And as you have that vivid sense and you say yes to that future self, it becomes easier to say no to the less important demands of the moment. So automate the little stuff and then really cultivate that vivid future sense of self and who you want to be. I think saying yes to that makes it easier to say no to the little nickel and dime type stuff that hits us day to day.
So we'll see some pictures of you age progression a little bit later on. So, James, I'll start with you. I want to ask each of you, when you think about life after graduation, I know you're interviewing and getting ready to graduate soon. What financial decisions feel the most intimidating right now?
The one I've been looking at the most is just living, I guess, general living expenses, but more specifically what rent would look like, especially in a larger city. I thought my rent in Tuscaloosa was a little bit steep, so looking anywhere else is pretty perspective changing there.
Exactly.
But
yes.
yeah, I would say that's my most pressing currently.
For me, I would say the same as well, because after graduation, I wanted to move, somewhere like a bigger city. But now I'm noticing that it's more expensive than what, I'm
Cost of
paying
living.
and living here. So I guess just trying to figure out what would be the safe spot for me, what would be the best for me long term.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it kind of goes back to James and Imani, saving up for rent and buying a house. Also, too, as I'm looking for a job, just making sure that I'm getting paid for like what I'm worth, I guess, and being able to make enough so I can live comfortably and also save for my future.
This has been a production of the University of Alabama Online.